In our #1 story tonight, Oprah dropped by Letterman, King Kong visited Godzilla, even the Harlem Globetrotters hit Gilligan's Island, so why not, in our #1 story on the countdown, have Stephen Colbert visit Bill O'Reilly and then Bill O'Reilly visit Stephen Colbert, unless you're worried about Mr. Colbert's well-being. There was no rip-snorting moment, but it was funny, and it gives us an excellent excuse to pick the brain of Seth MacFarlane, the genius creator of Family Guy, voice of Stewie, Peter, Brian, et al. First, the condensed whiff of the heavily lawyered, at times awkward, Colbert-O'Reilly interviews.
Who watches you? What's your audience? Do you do research? Do you know who?
Well, Bill, that's one of the reasons I want to do my show. Okay, I emulate you.
Yeah.
And I want to bring your message of love and peace, which I understand that is your message.
It is.
I want to bring the message of love and peace to a younger audience, people in their 60s, people in their 50s, people who don't watch your show.
Okay, I'm giving you the last word. Is that a wise thing to do?
I'd give it to me.
Yeah. What is the last word?
I want to thank you for not asking me about that thing that we pre-agreed you wouldn't ask me about.
Okay.
Have you ever tried going undercover as a secular progressive, infiltrating? Because I think if you went undercover as a secular progressive, okay, this would play in San Francisco, okay?
Absolutely. Hannah has a really good parking space.
He does?
Yeah. She,
Did you take him in a fight?
I want to fight. We're Irish
Should
guys.
you take... You're Irish guys, you don't want to fight.
Hannah. See, this is a cliche now. You don't want to. Come on. Now, Hannah kicked my butt.
You would?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
I'm a feat.
You got the reach. Tail of tape, you've got the reach.
I'm a feat. I'm not a tough guy. This is all an act.
You're breaking my heart, Bill.
Sensitive. I'm a
If you're an act, then what am I?
Who could follow that except for Seth MacFarlane, Emmy-winning creator, executive producer, writer, director. He does everything from except selling it door to door of Family Guy and American Dad. Seth, pleasure to finally have you on the show.
The pleasure is all mine, Keith. How are you?
I'm well. And yourself, sir?
I'm doing quite well.
All right, let's start with Colbert and O'Reilly. I've read this in a bunch of different places. You tell me if you got the same sense of the interviews that I did. These interviews reminded me of the Star Trek, the animated series episode Time Trap, in which this Klingon ship and the Enterprise both disappear into the Delta Triangle, and the only way to get out, Kirk has to work with his sworn enemy, Kor, the leader of the Klingons. Is that, analyzing it as a news story, is that the sense you got to?
It's like I'm hearing your voice, but it came out of my mouth a little earlier today, exactly what you just said. Yeah, no, you know, you get the sense that that's something O'Reilly just should not even have attempted. You look at it like he's sitting there. It's like sex with Sharon Stone. He's just kind of sitting there, very still, waiting for it to be over, and it's okay. Neither of us know her.
Yeah.
But you get the sense he was very much kind of out of his element, and I'm not quite sure why he permitted it. You know, you go up against a comedian, and you're kind of screwed.
Do you think that O'Reilly really gets the idea that Colbert is not just imitating him or presenting a version of him, but he's insulting him every night, including twice last night? Do you think O'Reilly doesn't get the gist of this?
I don't. I think sometimes O'Reilly doesn't know he's on TV. You know, I think sometimes he thinks he's down at a little tavern having a beer with his buddies, popping off about whatever he wants. But yeah, it was a unfortunate spectacle for him, to say the least.
Was it? I mean, there were elements that were funny. The Mission Accomplished banner that Colbert hung was funny, and showing the O'Reilly book with the 30% off sticker over Bill's head, which was legit. That's actually in the stores in New York. It was put in the Barnes & Noble stores that way. I don't know how many people know that. That was a legit thing and not a gag. Those things were funny, but was the exchange funny, or was it uncomfortable more than it was funny?
You know, I think you just wanted O'Reilly to at least try and get some sort of joke in there, at least try and get some sort of shtickle or something, and he just wasn't up to it. I mean, it was, you know, Colbert was clearly shouldering most of the comedy load.
And Bill was the comedy load, as he's often been described.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, you're currently on this program, as if you didn't know that, and let me let a cat out of the bag. Before letting the cat out of the bag, we should roll this animation thing first. Stand by a second.
Breaking news. Oh, this should be rich. Must be something of monumental, earth-shattering importance, or they wouldn't have that earth there. Shattering. See it shattering? It's earth-shattering breaking news. Oh, do tell me! Tell me! Tell me!
Stewie doing a little freelance work for us there, and we thank you once again for that.
Yes.
But to let the cat out of the bag,
Hey, always.
I'll be appearing as a guest voice on Family Guy in April, and I'm damn proud of it. And obviously, there's no ill will between us. But you've done other shows as an actor. The War at Home is an example. If you have your own well-established turf, is there something automatically edgy about appearing somewhere else? Even if Colbert and O'Reilly had liked each other, would there have been resentment or tension because they were on the other guy's ball field?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to have some of that regardless. I mean, I think I don't know. It was remarkably benign in a lot of ways. I mean, it wasn't something. It's not like seeing O'Reilly on Letterman, where as you recall, Letterman took that huge swipe at him. But it was interesting. It was a lot more kind of calm, and it almost seemed like at times Colbert was maybe being a little gentler with O'Reilly than he could have been.
Which segues us into the next topic here. You're subtler about it perhaps than Colbert is, but you guys go after political figures constantly. Have you had blowback? Do they bitch?
They generally don't. They generally don't. And we actually went out to O'Reilly for a gag where he was playing himself. We wanted him to make fun of himself, and he declined to do the show. Rush Limbaugh said yes, believe it or not.
Wow.
And so we kind of give him a sort of an immunity card, diplomatic immunity, like in Lethal Weapon 2. Where he did the show, he was a good guy about it. It's like, all right, but O'Reilly is fair game.
Now, my comedic heroes, Bob and Ray, told me once at the height of Watergate that they wouldn't go into politics at that point because, as Ray Goulding put it, how could you be funnier than Richard Nixon? Do you ever feel the same way about politics today?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have a mildly retarded guy in the White House. Some would say full-blown retarded. I like to give him the benefit of the doubt. But I don't know. I think I've just made too many piss jokes that would come back to haunt me if I ever tried to get into politics. That would be, the smear ads would just show, the AIDS song from Family Guy.
Oh, God. Speaking of Family Guy, your series, and it's still just the 2 series, right? You haven't taken over the whole schedule? It's just those 2?
There is a third that premieres in March called The Winner, starring Rob Corddry from The Daily Show. Yeah.
All right, my final question to you was that big Keith Olbermann guest appearance April 15th. How big a prima donna was that guy to work with, huh?
He was a bastard. I mean, he really made it difficult. It's like that whole no Twizzlers, not red vines. That whole thing was a little disappointing after being such a fan of the show for so long. Although he did play an oil executive, which makes him a trooper.
Well, yes, and after considerable and extensive direction, your greatest challenge of your career. It came out okay, I suppose. Seth MacFarlane,
knock it off, you.
The auteur of American Dad, and to my mind, television's best show, Family Guy. A pleasure, sir. Great. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much.